drop everything that you're doing. We're headed for a recession right now. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you guys. But let's give you guys an update on the recession update, economy updates in general. Are we headed for a recession? Are we in one? What's going on right now in the economy? There's a couple of things going on that we're going to share.
Yeah, because it feels like 2 weeks ago, we're back, we're in a bull run. And then these last 2 weeks are like, never mind, we're going back down. You know, it looks like they're going to raise more interest rates. You know, this isn't going to be over anytime soon. So, and this.
Yeah, so let's go one by one. Let's talk about like how our company's doing. How is like that, like the private sector, businesses and all that. So one company, a huge company called Yellow Trucking, they recently filed for bankruptcy and they're looking to possibly shut down. And there's 30,000 employees that might be left without a job. The crazy thing is that this company got a $700 million loan during the Trump administration to keep them afloat, to save them essentially. But even with that, they owe over $1.3 billion in debt payments that are due in 2024, so very soon, to over 100,000 creditors. Imagine someone pulls up your credit report and say, wow, you owe 1.3 billion to 100,000 banks, you know?
Good luck. Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, so they're screwed basically. That's what they're filing for bankruptcy, Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, a company could come in and try to buy them, you know, or something could happen. But, you know.
And this is a big company. This isn't like a small, the Yellow, you see them everywhere on the freeways.
Everywhere.
Yeah, so that's crazy. And I was looking at a chart in 2022, we had roughly 205 bankruptcies, and 2023, we have almost double that, 402 bankruptcies in just until now, middle of the year, July. So we still have the rest of the year to go to, and we're getting close to reaching levels that we had since back in 2010. Even today, I don't know if you heard, Rite Aid is going to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So that's the thing when we were talking at the beginning, like, are we in a recession? It feels like, I think what they're doing really good, you know, they learned, I think from 2008, that what they're doing now is, I think we are, they just don't want to scare us, you know, because it's like, you see stuff like this, you see charts like this that, you know how many bankruptcies we had in 2020 when it was the pandemic? We had 407. Right now, we don't have a pandemic. We're all supposedly working. There's a job or two for every person that's working right now. But we have 402 bankruptcies happening, and we still have the rest of the year to go. So I don't know. Like, we could be in it, or we're kind of like being almost like not lied to, but like kind of like they don't want to scare us or confuse us. And we also don't want to scare you and confuse you thinking, oh my God, everything's going to burn down, because when you see charts like this or stats like this, you know, it is kind of scary, you know. Make sure, at like what we always say too, if you have at least 6 months to a year of savings, of emergency fund, like whether we go through recession or not, you're going to be good. It's going to be painful, of course, but you're going to be a lot better than those who don't. So if you don't have that and you have more credit card debt than you do savings, I would try to trim down your credit card spending and try to pay that off.
This is how I would explain how the economy is right now. The economy is me right now. Let's just say it's me. I have stage 4 cancer, but I look healthy. I have hair. I look fit. I look in shape, whatever, right? So let's say I have kids. I'm going to tell them, I'm okay. Dad's okay. Everything's be okay. Even though I have stage 4 cancer, doctor tells me you have 4 months left to live. So I feel like that's where the economy is, where it's like something will happen, part will recover fast, but like you said, like they're just trying to allow people to stay calm. Because if you tell people we're in a recession, everything's gonna go wrong. People are gonna go, especially with social media, they're gonna go crazy. Everyone's gonna be like, "See, I told you guys, I knew it." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's we're gonna go crazy. Like if I tell my kids I have stage 4 cancer, you're gonna go crazy. They're gonna be sad. Like there's a chance I can still survive, right? Even though like the doctor said that.
Yeah.
So
and one thing I was going to show the credit card one. I don't know if you've seen this chart where
1 trillion.
Basically like another chart that I'm going to throw up on the screen is, you know, we were here during the pandemic. We were roughly a little bit below $1.8 trillion, you know, and we paid that off. We went down a bit, but we not only got back to that level that we were before the pandemic, we're almost double that. We're at $1 trillion in credit card debt. So that's not a good thing, especially with interest rates going higher. You know, people, I think what they're doing, maybe right now we don't, because I don't really notice it with my friends if we're in a recession. Yeah, it's more expensive, everything, but they're still traveling. They're still enjoying themselves, going out to dinner and stuff.
Buying
but
cars.
maybe they're paying off right now with credit card. And that's probably the worst thing you can do if we are heading into a recession.
Yeah, it's
pretty scary, that.
Yeah, and with interest rates, because that's probably a buzzword you hear a lot. Like, what does that mean? Where are we? What does that look like? Well, interest rates affects your credit cards. When you buy a car, the interest rate, how much you actually have to pay back to the bank, is really high right now. Even with an amazing perfect score credit, 5-6% is the lowest you'll probably get. Houses, right now it's almost hitting 8% interest rate on a house, and like I keep saying, the house prices are still very expensive, and the interest rate is almost 8%.
Yeah, like there's this chart here. Like right now, the interest rate or the mortgage to get an interest rate is 7.5. So a monthly payment on a house that's $400,000 in 2021 was roughly $1,500 for a $400,000 house. That same house right now with the interest rate of 7.5, it's almost double. It's $2,700. So that's $1,200 for the same house. That's pretty high. And here in California, good luck trying to find a house that's $400.
Yeah, and what that example doesn't show is that $400,000 house, not only the interest rate is higher, but the price is higher too. It's not $400, it's probably $500.
Houses have gone up, so which last year we even thought like there's no way houses can keep going higher.
It's crazy, man.
Like that's the one thing I don't understand. This is supposedly that we're going through this crazy recession, but it's like I don't see it. It's like either people are willing to, be more in debt, being willing to go month to month, just paycheck to paycheck, to try to show off or show that they're doing well. It just doesn't make sense. But there is another chart that is kind of like a good thing, which, right now we were talking scary. The one good thing about this chart is for the first time, where the U.S. real average hourly earning has gone up 1%. Before we were, if you see this chart that I'm gonna throw up on the screen, in 2020, because they were giving out checks to everyone, we were like 8%. That's why at that time, even I felt rich. I remember.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
And for a year and a half,
the recession is put on pause because people paid off debt. Like you paid off your debt in the recession.
All of
right?
it. All of it.
A lot of people did the same. And
look at the credit card chart.
A lot of people did the same. So they're slowly going back. There's the answer, guys.
Yeah. Like they literally gave out a lot of checks. And also that did help. But also like people are still used to getting these checks and they're still spending. That's why credit cards are still going up because they're like, what the heck? I really enjoyed going out all this time or being able to buy all this stuff, So that was crazy. Almost 8%. You're making way more than what was inflation. But we dipped a lot. Look at that. We were almost negative, in how much you were earning. That's why it was really painful 2022, but now we're back a little bit, wages has caught up with inflation. And there's another chart that I wanted to show because I don't want also to be just doom and gloom, It's like wages versus inflation, another chart that kind of shows a better understanding of it. So the green one is the consumer index. So look at that, the pandemic happened, everything went up, everyone lost their jobs. So of course, it dipped while stuff got expensive. And then they printed and look at that, it took a sharp dip and that went straight up and we were balling. And then, inflation hit and all that, so we kind of did nothing for a little bit and it felt painful. We're finally back up. So that's why it's like, there's charts that show like things are getting crazy, but there's also charts like this that are saying we're keeping up. The reason why they raised interest rates was to help with this. They wanted to defeat inflation. We were close to 10%. Imagine we stayed there 10%. That I think we would have crashed. If we'd have stayed at 10% or close to 10% inflation, we would have crashed. So that's the benefit or the reason why they raised interest rates.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And you sometimes you see like titles like this video that shows, stock market crash. Michael Burry just bet $1.6 billion on the stock market crash, which is true. But here's the thing that people don't understand. So he put $1.6 billion. They say it's a stock market crash, but he just literally put like, okay, he maybe saw, in 2 weeks, something's going to happen that's going to lower the stock market a little. And then once it goes back up, I'll pull out. So he's not like saying that, like the whole market's going to crash like back in 2008. He's not saying that at all. I mean, he has said that in tweets, But that specific thing, when people that hedge funds put stuff in the stock market, we don't know until months after. So we'll know in a couple months that, oh, did he pull out? Is he still in negative? Does it change? So it's like, don't get too scared about, when you see stuff like this. It's good to know, okay, why is he doing this? What's his reasoning behind this? And the interesting thing about Michael Burry is he's only been right like 2 out of 10. So he has a really low. I mean, it only takes one, right? But he's not a 10 out of 10. Everything he says is 100% right.
Yeah. There's like a chart that shows how many times, he's tweeted or said anything. If you look at this chart that on the screen is, look how many times he's said like, we're about to crash. And if you see the green and red little lines, that's how much we've gone up. So since he's first said in 2015, we're going to crash. If you would have pulled out, you would have missed out on returns of 150%. So there are little dips as you see here, of course, but the market always recovers. So that's why it's hard to listen to stuff like this, because he was right. And they made a movie out of him. So his fame, and it makes good headlines. People clickbait that and think, oh my God, but at the end of the day, I forgot what those filings are called. There's a name for it, with those filings that come out every once in a while. That's how we can see these mega investors. What are they doing? Like you said, it could have been months ago where he was, maybe bearish on the stock market. But now he changed.
Because he knew Fed Powell's going to raise interest rates, continue. Oh, it's going to dip the market a little or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, just look at this one. He tweeted this one in January 2023. In the beginning of the year, which I thought, everyone else thought there's no way we're going to have a crazy bull run. Tesla went up over 100, Facebook went over 100, Nvidia almost 300%, and he tweeted there in January 2023, sell. If you would have listened to him, you would have missed out on so much. That's why if you're trying to get into stocks, it's good to listen to these people in the sense of pay attention to what they're saying, but don't invest with them because they could be doing one thing in public saying, but different what they're doing in private or what they're telling their friends,
Yeah. Super, super important to know these things, and, don't just listen to what everyone's saying. Because at the end of the day, and maybe he could be right on the fundamental side, but he probably doesn't consider what the U.S. government will do, like printing money or the interest rates. That is, no one can predict what they're going to do.
And also, like, if you're young, if a crash or recession does happen, it's going to be painful, but it's going to be the best thing for you if you're prepared.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's going to suck a lot. If you're older, that's the worst. If a recession happens and you're just about to retire, that is the worst thing that can happen to you, because you're going to lose so much money and you don't have no more time to be able to catch up when the market picks up. So that's why there's two sides to this. That's why there's people who want a recession like us, because houses are going to be affordable. Everything's going to be more affordable. Look at 2008. That was one of the best times to buy houses is after the crash. They were way below the value compared to is now. And then I wanted to show this video, which tells you if you're 20, 30 years old and you have 30, 60 years in the market, just look at this. So every time it drops, the yellow is every time people exit because there's a crash. And the green is if you would have just kept your money invested in 1992. Look how much the green one keeps going. And every time there's a crash, the tech bubble back in 2000, if you would have pulled out, you look at that. There's dips that are scary. And a lot of people pulled out and never went back into the market. But look at that. This is just $10,000. And if you're 20 and 30 years old, you invest that every year, $10,000 or whatever you can. Look how much it grows. That's why your best friend in the market is time. The more I learn about this, the less I stress about it, because it is true. If you pull back a chart of the S&P 500 for whatever years, yes, there's falls, but look at this. It always recovers. We're one of the greatest economies in the world. We built the most craziest technologies. Everybody adores us. So that's what this chart is showing is like, there are dips, but is it better if you would have pulled out every time? And the tech bubble and the great financial, those were crazy recessions. But look at that. That was just $10,000 in 1992 to all the way to right now in 2023. 2020 would have been worth $128,000, $10,000.
Yeah, super, super interesting
Power
stuff.
Investing.
It's important to be educated and to have patience. That's the most important thing when it comes to this. And I know people always say, invest, but no one ever talked about it. Well, here you go. We're talking about it.
And this is in the S&P. This isn't like they're investing into a random company. This is just like in the S&P, the general stock market.
Yeah.
You doing no homework. You just pay into this ETF and forget it.
Yeah. So it's important, you just to conclude, are we in a recession? How's the economy? At the end of the day, none of us don't know.
Even the experts on TV.
Even the experts on TV, they're just paid to, play with your emotions, honestly. Even on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, whatever people say, at the end of the day, it's like...
It's hard to know.
It's a lot of people just do it for views and likes. So, and you're giving them those views and likes. And especially if you get scared and everything, like, don't get scared. Don't get scared. Just be ready. Have a emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses, and you'll be just fine.
Pay off your credit cards.
And work at UPS. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be definitely fine.
All right. We will see you in the next one. Comment down below what you guys think. If we're in a recession, how's the economy? How's your economy? The big economy could be good, but what about you? How are you doing?
That's true.